Yes, guys, what's happening? Hope you're all well. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the show. If you haven't checked out already, we've just done a debate show earlier. Who was a better footballer, Scholes, Gerrard, or Lampard? Make sure you check that one out. That got very heated and very. Actually, it was quite a good debate. I can't lie. It's one of the Premier League debates that's been going on for God knows how long. So make sure you get involved in that one. Big up Sean, big up Henry, and big up Lee. We're back on my channel tonight for the North London podcast. Sean, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. I'm enjoying this new elevated position in the panel in the chat. It feels right. It feels comfortable up here. Hope everyone else is well. Shout out to the chat. Hope they're all doing good as well.
Yeah, man. Listen, don't get too comfortable. The guys are above us today because that's how the league table sits. Let's see how long that lasts. Henry, how are you, mate? Up the top there.
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It feels good to be top of the league, and hopefully we're not going to move from here all season. And obviously, big up to all three of you. Hope you're all well, and everyone in the chat. And yeah, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same, man. Judges, what's going on here, mate? I feel a bit strange.
Yeah, early doors, like, you know what I mean? So look, hopefully we get a win on Saturday and put the pressure on them on Monday night, like, you know what I mean? Like, so that, see how they handle a bit of pressure when they're expected to win and win comfortably, like, you know. So we shall see. But other than that, all good. Had a good week's break and looking forward to Premier League football again this weekend.
Fair play, man. Just before, don't want to go into a huge debate about it because we have done it at the show. Gerrard, Lampard, or Scholes, Sean? Just give me one name.
Gerrard.
Henry?
Yeah, Gerrard.
Judges?
Gerrard, like, you know what I mean? Without a shadow of that.
Wow. Okay, fair enough. I was outvoted. I went Paul Scholes, but fair play. Okay, let's go into this weekend's fixtures, shall we? I think it's going to be an interesting weekend. We might as well start with Arsenal-Chelsea because it's going to be the bigger of the two fixtures, I imagine. Listen, judges, why are people worried about this game as an Arsenal fan? I'm hearing loads of gooners. Oh, I'm a bit nervous about this. I'm a bit worried about this. This is going to be tough. I get that, but they've beaten Fulham and Burnley, and now we're supposed to be scared of Chelsea. I don't quite get where this has come from, personally. I'm not saying it's going to be a whitewash and we're going to be winning 4-5-0, but I'm fairly quietly confident that with Arsenal's 11, we're going to be all right. But talk to me about why we might not be all right, judges.
Well, because you're away at one of the, you know, a team that over the years has been a serial winner. Like, you know, that's the only reason. I'll be really honest. If Tottenham were playing Chelsea over the weekend and it was at Stamford Bridge, I'd fancy Tottenham to get something against them. Like, you know, so and I think that as all right, they've got their act together in the last couple of games. You know, it has been a struggle for Chelsea. I don't think that they've been firing on all cylinders. You know, listen, they've got some decent players. I don't care what anybody says. Their midfield is as good as anything in the league. But at the moment, it's not quite gelled. When they do gel, they're going to be a force. But at this moment in time, I think they're lacking a few quality players in certain areas. When you think about it, guys, they've spent £1 billion, and how many players would you want out of that Chelsea side to go into either Tottenham or Arsenal? Not many. And I think that's the problem that they've got at the moment. I don't think they've strengthened in the areas that you need to. I think, you know, if you're going to be pushing for the title or pushing into the top four, you need a strong spine, goalkeeper, centre-half, midfielder, centre-forward. I think they've got it in a couple of areas, but not in all the areas. So yeah, listen, I think that the good thing about it from our point of view, and I get, you know, Arsenal fans getting worried because we all get worried. You know, deep down, the guys up there would be saying that, you know, they was a little bit worried about Luton the other week, like, but they expected to get the job done. And the fact of the matter is, Arsenal got better players than Chelsea at this moment in time, and are the better team. So yeah, I can see there's apprehension, but at the end of the day, when you're going into a team or you're going into a place like Stamford Bridge and you know you've got a better team, I'll tell you what, I'd rather be doing that than going there when I know that we haven't got the better team, and we've had that in the past. So I'm looking forward to the game, Dan. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am as well, and I always do. And to be fair, we've beaten them the last 3 times we've been there. I think we got 2-1 nils and a 4-2. Let's ask you Spurs boys about this one, because obviously it is a big game and it's known as to be a big game over the last few years. Henry, I'll start with you. How do you see this one playing out, mate?
Yeah, I think it will be a lot harder game than some Arsenal fans are saying. Other Arsenal fans are saying, you're going to get cooked or whatever. But you've apparently got a fully strength team. Saka's apparently somewhat okay. Martinelli will be back fit and firing now after having a few more days on the training ground. Partey's apparently fit as well, according to some things on Twitter. Look, I think if you've got a full strength team, you're winning that game. Like you said, 2 wins against Fulham. I know you can only beat what's in front of you, but Fulham and Burnley, is not. You'd expect to flip in the likes of Brentford to win both those games. Go in and put a performance against Arsenal, win that game, and then you can give Chelsea some props. Judges is right. They spent £1 billion on 30, 40 players, or however many it's been. And out of their entire transfer business, I think the only 2 or 3 that I'd really look at would be Fernandes. Casado, when he was at Brighton, was class. And the other midfield, and Lavia, their midfield, I think all of those would do extremely well in Tottenham. But listen, man, I think you'll win a game comfortably. I think you'll win 2 or 3-0. I don't really see Chelsea putting up a massive fight against you lot. I think with a full strength team, you'll go there, get the 3 points, and for a couple of days be back up there. And then when we play Fulham and run right all over them in the main event, we'll go back on top.
Very confident, man. Optimistic. Sean, let's stick to Chelsea Arsenal for now. What's your thoughts going into this one? Because I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans getting very confident now they've got a couple of wins together. And a lot of Arsenal fans saying, yeah, this could be tricky. And this heavy game's tricky. I get that. But I don't quite understand why we had more confidence in some of the other games. I see some Arsenal fans going, I think we'll beat City. And then those same Arsenal fans are going, oh, I think this one will be tough. Don't make any sense to me, Sean.
Yeah, no, especially when you guys are playing better away from home this season, in my opinion, than you have played at home. I think you haven't conceded a goal yet, have you, away from home?
Not yet. Yeah,
it's pretty compelling argument. I think that you guys will win comfortably. I think that you're better than them across the park. I think there's an argument on paper for their midfield, for some of their midfielders, on their day when ability wise, it's a close argument. But generally speaking, I think they haven't got they haven't quite figured it out up top end yet. And I think that there's going to be a lot of question marks asked of their fullbacks on the weekend. I don't know if Cucurella is going to play at right back, or if Gusto is going to come back in, or indeed if Reece James is ready. But whoever plays in that position, I think is vulnerable against Martinelli. I think you'll have loads and loads of opportunities down your left hand side. It's going to be interesting to see what team Arsenal put out. But yeah, for me, I think you might concede in the game, but I think I've had a bet on 3-1 to Arsenal. I think that it's just a little bit. It'd be a really interesting game for me. I think Chelsea's season, how they come out of this one could determine a lot for what's to come for them. If they find a way to get a result, then it could be a brilliant panacea.
Could kickstart their season, really.
Yeah, it could kickstart the season, given the strength of opposition that they've got coming up. But if they roll over and get pummeled by you lot, then I think the noise of discontent is going to start to pick up. And then they've got Brentford next, which is a West London derby, not an easy game either. And then after that, they start that run of really tough fixtures to come. And so I think if they don't put in at least a really good performance, they could still lose the game to you guys, because you guys are a fantastic team. If they put in a terrible performance and lose the game, then I think that the wheels could start to fall off with the patience of some of these Chelsea fans and indeed the owner. And I think that there's, difficult conversations that might have to be happening, as they move through that 6-game fixture. But in terms of the game specifically, I don't see anything other than an Arsenal win, to be honest.
Yeah, it's interesting. Noonan's put in the comments here that if we don't concede, it will be the first time in top flight football that it's been done. 4 clean sheets away from home. Is that right? Wow. There we go. I will bring another one up though from Noonan, because this does annoy me. Combined 11s. I can't stand these things. They drive me absolutely insane. Combined 11s, and they always have to try and make it fair and squeeze 4 or 5 players in.
Let's have it right. Let's be honest. A Chelsea player don't get in that Arsenal team.
Not for me. Not for me.
I'll be honest. I can't stand both football clubs. But I call it as I see it. No Chelsea fan starts for Arsenal. No Chelsea player, sorry.
And
the
it's
only
very,
one. Go on, mate. Sorry.
Go on, Henry. No, it's very rare that we can say that, and I think that there's been times where I could say that about the other way around. There ain't many Chelsea players Arsenal players that wouldn't get in this Chelsea 11. But I think we are. Let's be real. There is not any of those current Chelsea players that I look at and I go, well, he walks in, but now we've got debates. You can have a couple of debates about Caicedo's form at Brighton, but he ain't really transformed that into Chelsea form right now. So if you ask me, would I have Caicedo? Then of course I would say yes. But if you're looking at the current form of Arsenal and the current form of Chelsea, I saw today Thiago Silva, Levi Colwill and Conor Gallagher in a combined 11. I just started laughing out loud. I thought, is this for real?
Over who?
Well, I don't know, Henry. That's no idea. Levi Colwill, I suppose, was ahead of Zinchenko because he's been playing at left back. Conor Gallagher was in. Thiago Silva, for me, unbelievable. But
do you know
Gabriel has been unreal. So I'm putting him ahead of Silva. This current form. It's just bizarre for me. I don't get it.
If you looked at our team, you could have a big debate about who's been better. You Doge, yours, Zinchenko, Odegaard, or Maddison. But Chelsea,
on this season's form, none of them get in. No, but like as potential ability, capability, whatever, then there might be conversations about one or two people in midfield, as I say, Enzo and Caicedo, in terms of their overall. If you go back far enough, but that's about it. That's about it. In terms of this season's form, no Chelsea player gets into any team's starting 11 in the top.
No, I couldn't believe it. I mean, listen, I know they're all trying to force their way into it, and Noonan's brought up Reece James. I think he's top quality when he's on form, but he's never fit. And Ben White's been ridiculously good. Yeah, he is, man. Ben White's been ridiculous for the best part of 18 months now. So for me, even Caicedo and Enzo and Lavia and all these guys, I'm having Partey, Rice and Odegaard over them. I am. I'm not dislodging those three. For any of those other players. So I don't know. I just wanted to mention it to see if as long as I weren't.
First game back, Dan.
Say again, bruv.
Sorry, mate. Is this Thomas Partey's first game back for a while on Saturday? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean he did come on, didn't he, against Man City and set up made the start of the goal. But you're right. If he will start, I mean, Lee, I'll ask you. The team news at the weekend. I guess Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, Jesus. Is that the team we're expecting? Oh, you're on mute, bruv.
Unless Saka's not quite fit enough, then maybe then there's a decision to go up front, either Eddie or Havertz. But I would like to see, you never know with Arteta. That's the only thing. But I'd like to see that midfield of Partey, Rice and Odegaard. I think that was when Partey come on. I think that was the difference between us winning and drawing that game against City. And I think that he's had a couple of games for Ghana, which was a good thing. So it'd be a difficult decision to put him into that game. I don't see him playing all 3 games, Dan. This week. So I think you have to pick and choose his games. So I think that if he plays on Saturday, then he won't play Tuesday. It could go to Havertz or somebody else in midfield. But I suspect that'll be it should be the 3 that starts in midfield. And I think that we haven't seen that for I'm going to sneeze out on it. No, I ain't. I think that Caicedo would be a good replacement for Partey in a year's time or whatever. But at this moment in time, I don't see anybody. If Partey stays fit and he's fit, there's not many better midfield players in the league than him. So the only issue that we've had with him is that he's not been fit enough long term. But listen, once he comes back, I think the midfield guy, and I'm desperate to see a fit Saka, Jesus and Martinelli front.
So am I.
I think if we get that front three, I think playing more than not, I think that we'll start seeing a free-flowing Arsenal.
It's actually all six. It's actually all six of them players, Lee. You talk about we ain't seen Partey, Ødegaard, and
We haven't seen
Rice
it.
yet, and we ain't seen Martinelli, Saka, and
Did
Jesus
they
all
play in
fit
the
yet.
Charity Shield game? Is that the only game they've played together?
That's the only game. That's the only game, and it weren't even that six because Havertz played instead of Jesus because he got the injury, didn't he? So
we haven't had that. We haven't had
that six yet. So for me, it's not been our best 11 all season yet, and we've done all right so far. What will probably happen is we'll get these 11 fit. We won't be able to win. That's typical of Arsenal, isn't it? You know what I mean? But I do feel confident with these 11 players. I do think that they are on paper. I don't see really a weak area of the squad. A lot of people will say firepower, but I think we proved last season that although we don't have a Haaland, Jesus can get double figures and the other three around him can get 15 goals. So we do go goals by committee. So for me, I think against Chelsea, like Sean said, we're good away from home. We ain't conceded a goal yet, and we are defensively better. And there's no denying, although we ain't been the same Arsenal of last season in terms of our play, not many teams have created that many chances against us. And that's been really evident if you want to go to stats. And I don't really like stats, if I'm honest. I like points on the board. But if you look at stats and you look at the lack of creativity against us, it has been quite clear to see. Now, last season, we were scoring goals. But do you remember, Lee, we were like 4-2, 4-3, 3-2. Do you remember? It was like actually quite like exciting for the neutral we were. But it weren't.
How much credit do you give to the likes of Declan Rice for that? Because he's been
unbelievable.
Like he's been very good in an Arsenal shirt, hasn't he?
He's phenomenal. Like, you actually watched him in the England game against Italy as well. You know, he's just a different class at this moment in time.
The question is, Lee, did you cheer Harry Kane's goals?
Of course he did. He can now. He can now. He's Bayern Munich, Harry Kane, isn't he?
Munich. Unfortunately, I turned it off by then. Like, you know, I can't get involved. I can't get excited about England games at this moment in time. Like, you know, I thought that. Listen, I watched his second goal. What finish by? As he get to it, and then has the coolness to finish it. He is some striker, isn't he? Like, you know. So the
second half, I thought we were quality second half.
Huh?
So give him a bit of props now because he's joined Bayern. But when he was at Tottenham, he was just, you know. I've always said he's a top class player.
That's why we hated him.
Yeah, quite like, you know, and I don't say I hate him now because he plays for Tottenham. Now he plays for Bayern Munich. Like I don't, you know, it is a different thing when he's scoring goals for England when he's playing for Bayern Munich. I don't know, but you still look at him as Tottenham, don't you? Like, you know, so yeah, I think that if Arsenal have got their best team out, I think that. You know, I think the good thing is, Dan, from our point of view, is that we haven't had our best team out, and we're still like unbeaten and top of the league with alongside Tottenham. Like, you know, and that is a bodes well for us if we can get everybody back on.
Yeah.
I do. In the back of my mind, I think some just scrolled through when we were talking about. I still got, you know, we need to get something Tuesday as well. So we've got to, you know, think of. And I know it's a pain in the thing, and then when you keep saying it all the time, but we have got to, you know, get through these Champions League games as well, like, you know, and I think like our next, like for instance, in a week now, Tuesday, Saturday, we play 3 games, as I say, like, you know, and we've got to, not we, Arteta has got to manage them really well, because I'll tell you that we need to get something in Seville. We need to get like at least a point, you know. Obviously, like a win would be fantastic, but we can't afford to lose that game, Dan. So we've got to get something. So really, 2 difficult away games coming up here now. Like, you know,
do you think, Judge? Like, the reason I say this is like before I come to Tottenham, I wanted to close on the Champions League thing because obviously we will be playing that by the time we have another chat. But I do think it's really important, and the whole of this season for him rotating Mikel Arteta. He's never had to do this before, right? He's not had before competitions at this level before. This is the first year he's had Champions League football. But I don't want to see like wholesale changes because Pep Guardiola don't do that. He makes 4 or 5, doesn't he? Or he starts his best, brings 4 or 5 off, or he'll make 4 or 5 to start with and bring on if he needs to. And I want to see that. I don't want to see on Saturday against Chelsea a half-hearted side because we got Tuesday in mind. I don't think we will. I think we will play that strongest. But I wanted to ask you, like against Seville, do we play our strongest 11 against both sides and then try and take some of them off against Chelsea and Seville if the job's done? I mean, obviously that's the hope we have. But I'm just kind of worried that we might tinker with it a bit on Tuesday night, if you get me.
No, I think maybe again might be one, maybe two changes, but I think there might be, which is the worrying game, is the Sheffield United. Is it Sheffield United we got next on the Saturday? I think it is Sheffield United. I think that he made maybe 1-2 changes and make 3 or 4 in that game against Sheffield United. I think, like, try and get these two done and try and get through that Saturday game. And that's why every game's going to be tough for us at the moment. When people go, you're going to win this game against Sheffield United, which I think that we probably, on paper we would. But if you're making 3 or 4 changes, I look back at the Europa League and I worry about that. But somewhere along the line, he's going to have to make a couple of changes. As I said, I don't see Partey starting all 3. So if he starts the first 2, I expect him to be on the bench in the next one. I think there'd be a little bit of a rotation. Saka just coming back from injury. I can't see him playing in all 3. I'd be very surprised if he does. So we'll have to manage that very well. But I think 1 or 2 changes is enough. I don't think you need to go mad on it. I'd keep the back 4 basically the same most weeks and most games. I think it's those wide areas and the midfield areas that they look to change. But I think Saturday is a massive game. You can't be saying, like, all right, let's take on Chelsea and then get 2 or 3 up and then we can rest players. That's not going to be the game. Whatever happens and whatever the result is on Saturday, that's going to the wire. We're going to have to be at our very, very best for 90 to 100 minutes, whatever it is. So, and then it's a quick recovery time to get to the Tuesday, and then you've got a few days off where the Saturday game won't be so bad, But this is the problem that we've got. This is what we wanted. So you can't moan about it or criticise it. This is what you're going to do, and this is where I'm with you on this, Dan. This is where Mikel's got to earn his money this time around. Because if he doesn't, he will come under some sort of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, before we move to Spurs, Sean, I'll put this super chat because I do want to touch on Poch and Chelsea just very, very quickly. Mark Trevor says that Poch is the most underrated manager in the league. Do you think that Pep or Klopp could get Spurs into a Champions League final? Wow. I mean, yes, I do. But I'll let you answer that one, Sean.
Well, yeah, Pep and Klopp could. The team at the time, I think, had a lot of fortune along the way to get to the Champions League final. I think it could have gone a lot of different ways than how it figured itself out. But I think Pochettino was the right manager for Tottenham. I don't necessarily think he's the right. It's horses for courses. I don't necessarily think that Chelsea, the fan base, the club, the history, the kind of immediate success that comes with Chelsea or has come with Chelsea over the last 25 years. I don't know if Pochettino, since Tottenham, has gone on to prove himself capable of delivering what is necessary at Chelsea. But you know what? At the same time, if Chelsea go through a bad run of form here, and like I alluded to at the start of the show, if they do lose, badly to Arsenal, the bad performance, and they're on the bad end of a lot of poor results and performances in this tough run of fixtures, if Todd Boehly does pull the plug and says, "Oh, we're going to start again," I don't know where Chelsea go next. I don't know what manager would be the right next move. I think that Chelsea fans do need to stick with Pochettino, but in terms of being the most underrated manager in the league, I don't know what that really means. I think that everyone knows what he did at Tottenham, but then he didn't really do much, or didn't outperform anything above what he should have done, the bare minimum at PSG. So I don't know. I think the guy just needs time. He didn't start well at Tottenham either, for what it's worth. It took him a long time to get because he's like a slow burn. So I think that Chelsea fans need to stick with him, and hopefully you'll see the better version of him as time moves on. In terms of underrated, I'm not sure if there's anyone else who's more underrated than him. So maybe it's a fair comment, to be honest.
Yeah, I think sometimes he's disrespected for what he did at Tottenham, because people say, "What did he do at Tottenham? He didn't win anything." Well, yeah, I get that. And for me, you have to be successful. You have to win something to be successful. But there's still that kind of taking something from somewhere and putting it into a position that no one ever expected. And I do think you deserve credit for that. But I don't think he's going anywhere, Henry, at Chelsea. I really don't. I think it would be stupid to get rid of him, if I'm honest, because they're going to go and get then. You know what I mean? They've got no team to win now. So Chelsea have got to go through a bit of pain, in my opinion, before they can start looking at success and trophies and what they're used to. But I wanted to get your opinions on that lastly before we move to Spurs with Pochettino and Chelsea, because I think that the fans need to be a little bit patient, and I've always said that they ain't going to be. I think they will get to a point at some point at this stage, this season, and fans will start to turn and go, "Where are we going?" I really can see that happening.
Yeah, do you know what? Just on Poch and Chelsea, the way I describe Chelsea fans is they're like that spoiled kid at school who got absolutely everything they wanted. You know, you went down to Sports World to get your football boots. They got brand new Nikes or Adidas. You're sitting there in the Umbros and still scoring more goals than them. Like, they've been so fortunate. Like, in my lifetime, I've seen us win 2 League Cups. I've watched Chelsea win 6 or 7 Premier League titles, 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Europa Leagues. God knows how many League Cups and FA Cups. You know, the 13 or 15 goals that season they conceded at, under Jose's year, the winner from Drogba's penalty. Like, they've had some absolutely fantastic times. And for both our fan bases watching them, it's a nightmare. Now they've brought in a manager who's got a track record of developing young players, like the likes of what we did at Tottenham when we brought through the likes of Walker and Rose into our 11 and Dyer when he was actually a competent player, not a clown, and Alderweireld and Vertonghen. He grew that and developed that squad, but that's what he's got to do now. The difference is we were prepared at the time because we could see that there was a vision laid out from the club. I don't think Chelsea fans are going to be that patient. Have we ever seen Chelsea fans be prepared for the pits? Like, you are in the gutter. Like, yeah, they finished
young ones, no.
year.
People that are old, people that are 45 and older will remember the Chelsea back in the 80s and 90s that weren't anything, right? But the younger people that are sort of 30 and under probably have only grown
anyone
up
on social media, basically.
Yeah.
Any of the younger fans on social media that saw Kai Havertz's winning Champions League goal now does not have the patience. Like, Alex
So
Ferguson,
where did Chelsea go? If Chelsea do sack Pochettino, where did Chelsea go to? If Chelsea do sack Pochettino this season, do they go for another manager that can develop youth, or do they go for a here now win now manager? But if so, which here now win now manager is going to be able to has got that much experience developing 20-year-olds into world beaters? There's not that many out there, are there? So
the only guy is Simeone. Like, he's got a track record of developing players through their academy and turning them into absolute gems. But Simeone's on 40 million euros a year, right? Chelsea have already spent astronomically high wages on players and transfer fees. They've just got to sit tight, do what you guys have done, and quote unquote trust the process. I mean, like I've said a lot of the times, you guys have stuck by your manager, regardless if you finished 8th. You were in the pits. Arsenal finishing 8th, not once but twice. But now you're reaping the rewards of it because now you are challenging for titles. But
I think when Poch picked Tottenham up, they weren't exactly, sort of unbelievable, were they? He had to give it.
Exactly.
He took you to places, and I think Poch could do the same with Chelsea. What I will say is, I'm with Henry here. Is like, even Simeone is a win now manager, really. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, give him 5 years and he won't win anything for 5 years. It'll be fine. For me, you might as well stick with Poch. And like you say, Sean, if they do get rid of him, where do they go? Because like Tottenham, they've kind of tried everything as well. They've kind of looked at win now managers. They've looked at projects. Now they've got another process. Potter was supposed to be their project manager, got rid of him. Now they've got another project manager in Poch. If they get rid of him as well, just what is the point of this? So, listen, Chelsea, I think, will be okay because Chelsea will have money and they'll just buy their way back to the top unless Todd Bowley continues to be reckless. But I will say this, lads, and this is serious. If they don't get to European football, Chelsea, they will be in trouble financially soon. They will be. Because they can't just keep spending billions and billions and not getting Champions League football. And I'm talking Champions League, not just Conference League football. You know what I'm saying? They've got to go and get back into this Champions League, in my opinion, this season, if not definitely next season. Otherwise, they're in serious trouble. So I think that has to be pointed out. Let's move to Spurs. Sean, start with you, mate. Talk to me about your team news, mate, after the international break, going into this Fulham game on Monday Night Football, I believe it is.
Yeah, so heard rumours of niggling injuries to Pape Sarr. Apparently that's been dismissed. He's fit to play. Romero came off injured at halftime in the game against Argentina with a swollen ankle, but apparently that's calmed down and he's fit. Sonny was seen grimacing and in looking in agony. Korea were 5-0 up in a ridiculous friendly against, I forget who they were even playing. And Jurgen Klinsmann kept him on for the full 90 minutes. He hasn't finished a game for us in 5 or 6 weeks yet. Jurgen Klinsmann keeps him on at 5-0 up in a friendly. Apparently he's okay. But you know what? The thing I from what I've heard, we've got a full bill of health. Technically, everyone's come home unscathed from internationals. But what I worry about is, people like Sonny. As much as you admire the passion that they want to play every minute, and that they believe in themselves, that even a 60% version of themselves is better than a 100% version of the guy on the bench. I do feel like it's to his detriment a little bit that, he went through all of last season having a relatively poor season. That he picked it up towards the end. He got some goals towards the end. It was only after the season finished that he said, "Oh, by the way, I was playing with a hernia all year." And so you've got a recent history of a guy who's willing to play injured, and his form was suffered as a consequence, and he didn't let anybody know. And so I don't know whether or not Tottenham, the medics, need to get hold of him and put him through some scans just to confirm that when they ask him and say, are you good, bro, that he actually is, rather than just believing him or taking him at his word. Because every single time he comes off the bench, comes off the pitch during the game for Tottenham, he's seen grimacing and looking like he's in pain. And ultimately, you can aggravate those injuries that could fix themselves if you gave him a little bit of a breather. But you keep playing injured, and eventually it's going to manifest into something worse. So he's the one that I worry about more than anyone else. And we've got some injury, we've got some return. We've got Brennan Johnson who's back fully fit now. So I feel like maybe and we've got Brian Hill as well, who's up for contention. All of those players play in that area of the pitch. So for me, I think that there's more options here. That if Sonny is injured, we're going to need him. We've got some tough games coming up, tougher than Fulham. I'd rather see Sonny maybe have a breather if he's actually feeling the effects of being asked to play 90 minutes when he's clearly suffering with something.
Yeah, Henry, it's interesting about Son, because I was going through Tottenham's team the other day, and I don't think it's as depleted as people have kind of said. I don't think the quality's there, don't get me wrong, in certain positions. But Son is the one that I get stumped on, because once he's done out the team, then you rely on Richarlison again. And that ain't been working for you. Do you think that you could go a couple of games with an injury to Son and not be affected? Do you think you've got goals by committee in the side? Do you think you can get by without Son for a few games?
I think we could get past Fulham, and I think we could beat Fulham and Palace without Son. If Sean's got a good point there. If he's carrying an injury, then don't frustrate it. Like you guys with Saka have really, tested it a little bit to see how he's getting on. A couple of times he's gone down, then you've actually taken him off. Then he pulled out of international duty. If Son got injured now, that is a Son number 9 gone. Our backup's for Richarlison. I would be more open to play Brennan Johnson through the middle if Son did get injured, and just because he's got blistering pace. Like when we played him against you, he was one of our better players. He would have scored unless Raya made that wonder save. And then when we took him off, it was like all of a sudden you got a back hold into the game. Like he was a real threat. If we played a front three of if they were fit, of I don't know, Brian Hill, Johnson and Kulusevski, and you could essentially go into a 4-4-2 diamond and have kind of like Maddison and Kulu as like 2 attacking 10s with Basuma and 4-2, and Basuma and Sartor, as I call him, sitting. You've got pace of the likes of Hill and Johnson to get by. I don't expect us to be whipping the ball in now. If Johnson's playing, just play it in behind. He's one of the quickest players in the league. If Son is fully fit, though, I do expect us to beat Palace. And Palace is not going to be easy. Neither is Fulham, especially at Selhurst Park under the lights. I think they've got the best defence or the most clean sheets in the Premier League, haven't they?
I have. Yeah, that Anderson and Gehi partnership, man, underrated. So good.
Yeah, I actually I like. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of Gahey or Guahi, whatever his name is, but I have warmed to him in the
Yeah, I
last few
like him.
games. I think Anderson's quality. I think he's a proper good old school, no nonsense centre back. You know, just get stuck in. I think he's fairly good on the ball as well. But they've only scored 7 goals this season. They failed to score against Nottingham Forest at home.
They've lost every single bit of their firepower, though. They've got no Edward,
Yeah,
no
I know,
Eze,
but like,
no Elise, no. They've got
okay, but look at it this year. Like, Sarr scored. If you take out our attack, at our front three, Romero's got 2, Sarr's got 1, Royale's got 1, Poro's been involved, Udoji's been involved. Like, I know obviously they've lost a lot of their firepower, but 7 goals in 8 games. Like, if we lost Son and Kulusevski and, I don't know, let's say Richarlison, we'd still score more than the 7 goals in 8 games.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
They have been depleted.
If they had their full strength forward line and with their defense, tight as they are, well, they're 9th in the league at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, and they've got 12 injuries. I was speaking to DR Palace fan on the channel. They've got 12 injuries at the moment. That's mad, isn't it? In 8 games. How the hell do you get 12 injuries when you play 1 game a week as well? It's crazy, isn't it? It really is. But I think they're that's going to hit. They need to get these players back. Eze and Elise and all that need to come back from soon. But I'll come to you on this, judges, right? Because I was looking at the Tottenham situation. I think they are still weak. I think they're short up top. I think they're short in defence still because one of those gets injured, they're back to Dyer. And I think creative-wise, if Maddison gets crocked, they are pretty screwed in that position. But otherwise, I think they're there or thereabouts, to be fair. They're not like, none of them are like top quality levels, but I don't think the level drops off nowhere near as much. Maybe Bissouma is the other player, Bissouma, Maddison and Son, and obviously one of the centre-halves going missing. Because I think Sarr is really impressed. I can't believe Henry's calling him Sartor, but, fair play. He's a good looks, all right. And they've obviously still got some covering. They've got Bentancur to come back, which people have forgot about as well. I think it's a top quality player. And then you've got, obviously, the wingers that people were saying, they might need some wide men. They've got loads, haven't they? They've got Solomon, Perisic, Gill.
Both of them are injured.
Richarlison. There's about 6, though, isn't there? Wingers: Johnson, Richarlison, Kulusevski, quite a few. Son even that does play out there as well. So I don't think they're all right there. Fullback wise, I'm not really sure who your backup left back is. I guess it's Davies, is it again, or someone? Yeah. But other than that,
actually Ryan Sessegnon's back soon. He's back.
He's terrible. He is terrible. He is absolutely awful. He is. But my point is, I do think that there are certain positions at Spurs that they might get hurt by. Now, listen, they could keep them fit. If they keep Son, Maddison, Bissouma, and both Romero and Van de Ven fit for the majority of that season, then they got a chance of doing pretty well, in my opinion, judges.
Yeah, they've had a touch this week. The game being on a Monday night, that gives you an extra few days to recover the players from international football, like particularly the ones that are coming back from South America, like playing extra, like they sort of play Wednesday morning, don't they? Like for early hours and all that, So they look at that. Then they've got the game on the Friday, so there's still 4 or 5 days in between. That's the position that Spurs are in at the moment. So I don't look at them with the squad depth and think, I'm worried about it if I was that, because I think like the squad is that depth because of the games that they're going to play. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think that's a real problem. If Spurs are to lose Maddison long term or a Bissouma or something, you have to say that's unlucky. You know what I mean? It can happen, but it's unlucky. And the chances of it happening are a lot less if you're playing once a week than if you're playing 3 times a week. So I don't think that's a concern for me. Like, the concern is that if Son gets injured, I look at him and I think that he does make them tick more than probably other players at this moment in time. And I don't know what's happening with Richarlison. Like, you can't be just getting this bad, from just signing for Spurs. It just, like his Brazilian career now is all up to Swanee. Like, you know what I mean? When he was doing really well with Brazil at one stage, when he scoring, I just don't know what's happened to him. Like, he's got to come good somewhere along the line. Surely.
Here's the question, Judge. It's a good question. Would you rather have Kai Havertz or Richarlison as centre forward?
Neither.
That's an unreal question, that, isn't it?
This is how bad Richarlison's luck is, right? 6 months ago, he gets Neymar tattooed on him. Neymar the other night did his ACL.
Oh, mate. Yeah.
Neymar hasn't been injured. A proper injury like that in his whole career And now he's just done his ACL and he's out for the rest of the season.
That tattoo is the most embarrassing tattoo I've ever seen, though, by the way. Richarlison.
Yeah.
R9, he's called himself.
I don't mind a bit of shameless, but getting Neymar tattooed on your back is a different kind of shame. It's like, that's not going to make you a better footballer, mate.
Crazy.
It's unbelievable, that he has. But I suppose from his point of view, it don't help so much if you're playing one game a week, like you know what I mean. Where you're not going to get so many games. That's the difficult thing for say someone like Richarlison. If all right, okay, we've got 3 games in a week, you can get a game here and there, like they can't do that now. So we could actually go 5-6 games now without, I say that, coming on in the last 10, 15, 20 minutes. And that's going to be tough for him, so that's when it works against him there, but I feel that that their squad depth isn't a problem. I think that they'll be all right on that.
Interesting. Let's do some predictions, and I want to come to a bit of a debate to come to a close. Sean, what are you going with? Well, let's do both games, actually. What are you saying for both games? Chelsea, Arsenal, and Spurs, Fulham, mate.
Going Chelsea 1, Arsenal 3. And I think Tottenham should be comfortable, but I worry a little bit without Basuma because he's suspended. And I think Palhinha might have a bit of a field day in the midfield, but I'm still going to go back my team and say 2-0 Tottenham.
Okay. Henry?
2-0 Arsenal. And 3-0 Tottenham.
Okay. Judges?
2-0 both games. So Arsenal to win 2-0, Tottenham to win 2-0.
Interesting. I'm going Arsenal to win 2-0. And I'm going to go Tottenham to beat Fulham 2-1. I think Tottenham will have enough. I really do. So I think we should both be happy next week. We'll see.
What happens if you win 2-0 and we win 2-1? Does that put you? That puts you back on top on alphabetical order or something.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Yes, it does. You know what I mean? Because so.
And
we'll be one goal extra, won't we? We'll be one goal up if we get 2 and you get only plus 1.
You got above us on goal difference, wouldn't you?
We go above you on goal difference, so we'll see. Right. We'll see what happens.
Interesting.
But yeah, man, interesting. I want to close just by asking this, and we'll do this as a bit of a thought because I think it's a good question from Noonan here. It's something I keep hearing quite a lot, to be honest, in the last couple of weeks, couple of months that we've seen Tottenham in 8 games do what Arsenal have done in 8 games. So Noonan's asked, what's the difference between what Arsenal did and what Spurs are doing this season, and with no European distraction, it means. So Lee, let me get you to start that because I've got a couple of things to say on it, but I'll let you go first on it. And we're talking 8 games. So what it says is, what's the difference between what Arsenal did and what what Spurs are doing? I think he means the first 8 games of Arsenal last year and the first 8 games of Spurs. Because if we talk about what Spurs are doing, they weren't doing what Arsenal were doing right up until Christmas, were they? So I think he's meaning the first 8 games of Arsenal last year and the first eight games of Spurs this year. What's the difference?
Not a lot. Not a lot, if I'll be honest. I think the feel-good factor is there. When last season with us, I think I can only speak for myself. I enjoy going and watching Arsenal play last season, particularly at home. They was entertaining games. I think we beat Tottenham, we beat Manchester United and Liverpool in that first 8 games, if I remember rightly. When big rivals around you, Tottenham have done exactly the same, beating Man United and Liverpool. So they'd look at that if they've got a good result away to us as well. So you'd put that into it as well. I don't see a lot of difference, if I'll be honest. I think that the feel-good factors come back with Tottenham. I think the guys will be chomping at the bit for the game Monday night, So I don't really see too much difference at the moment, the next 4 or 5 games, will tell again. You know what I mean? You have to take one game at a time, and just before you know it, if that when you're on 16 games, all of a sudden, then and you're still there at Christmas, there's going to be talk. But I don't think we was talking about winning the title after 8 games last season. We was just enjoying the ride, and I think that's what Spurs are doing at the moment. They're enjoying the ride, and rightly so. So I don't really see too much difference.
Interesting one. Sean, let's come to you next, mate.
I think the only difference probably, not that it's really not that it would have been noticeable at that stage last year, but I think that last year there were a few more of the bigger teams that were underperforming or turned out to underperform. Maybe that hadn't become apparent by October, but I think both teams obviously. Yeah, I couldn't disagree with what Lee says. There's not much more to add, really. I think the only reason I don't know if the question's like extended to what Noonan's really asking is, on the basis that there's not much difference, is there any reason why Tottenham can't go on and do what Arsenal ended up doing last season, which was go deeper? And I think that the bigger difference there would be squad depth. I think you guys last season had probably slightly more depth in your squad last year than we probably do at this stage this season, but that can change in January. So. Yeah, not much difference at all. Good times at Tottenham, good times at Arsenal.
Fair play, man. Before I let Henry come in, because I know he's been saying this for a couple of weeks, I'll let him have the last say on this. But the only difference I see is I think Arsenal in their 8 games, although we did lose a game at Old Trafford, I think the ones we won, we were more, other than Fulham in the last kick of the game, we were a lot more convincing when we won. We were like sort of really beating teams. So if you look at the first 8 fixtures of last season, I've got them in front of me because I wanted to make sure I weren't making this up. Convincing performance at Crystal Palace at home. We beat them 2-0 comfortably. We smashed Leicester at the Emirates 4-2. We battered Bournemouth 3-0. We beat, as I say, Fulham in the last minute 2-1, but we were 1-0 down. So we showed the character to come back into that like you guys did. I think it was against Sheffield United this season. So that was the only similar one I would suggest. Then we beat Villa 2-1. We beat Brentford at Brentford 3-0 convincingly, and then we battered Spurs 3-1 at the Emirates. So for me, there ain't many there that I look at and go, oh, I don't know how Arsenal won that. I don't know how Arsenal won that. And already with the 8 games, you can question how you beat Liverpool, how you beat Sheffield United, how you beat Luton. I mean, to be fair, you probably did. Well, you definitely deserved to beat Luton. You should have been about 4-0 up, to be fair, in the first half hour. But I think the actual results that I've gone through there was like, whoa, Arsenal are really beating teams. And I think Spurs have gotten across the line against some of them. And the other thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, Spurs have played all 3 relegated sides that have come up. Sorry, all 3 promoted sides that have come up already in their first 8 games. Now, I know you've played Arsenal and Liverpool as well, but I do think that there is some things there. Oh, yeah, but let's be real. I think I could put my mates out and beat Man United at the moment. I mean, it was horrendous. We've got over the line at Man United actually this season. Well, that was this season. But yeah, but you get my point. I think that is the only thing I can say. And the thing is, you can't really take away what either club have done in the first 8 games because we sit at the top of the table. It doesn't really matter how you get there. But I'm just thinking in that question specifically, what is the difference? I would say I think Arsenal looked better and more convincing than Tottenham do right now. But I'll let you come in, Henry, because you've got a big soundness. So
yeah, I said this at the Liverpool game, right, when I did my fan cam, and everyone was like, "You're a typical tapped, deluded Tottenham fan." Now all of a sudden, everyone's looking at the comparisons. I agree with similarities of all you're saying. There isn't a huge amount of difference. The only thing I will say is we've played 8 games so far. 5 of those have been away from home, which is 5 of your first 8 games to be away and to come away unbeaten playing Man United, which we haven't had a huge amount of luck in recent games, to get something at your lot, and obviously the VAR. If you take away the Liverpool game, let's just take that out of there because that game could have gone. If the goal was allowed, who knows? But the other 7 games, I think it's fair to. I mean, I don't know what you guys will say, but we deserve to win those other 7 games. Brentford, a dodgy penalty, right? On another day, I know people are going to say, but you got lucky at Liverpool, whatever. We beat Man United. They didn't finish their chances. We battered them the second half, right? We went out, Son bags a hat trick. We absolutely obliterate Burnley. People would say, yes, promoted team. To win, put 5 goals away from home, you've got to be playing well, right? Then we completely cruise control through Bournemouth, Right? I think they had 3 shots on goal the whole game. All of them were out the box. We then obviously we beat Liverpool with VAR. We should have, in my opinion, probably beaten you. I think we had the better chances. And then obviously we beat Luton with 10 men. The only thing I'll say on this is last year you were coming into your 3rd season under Arteta?
Last season was the 3.5. This is 4.5.
So let's just say you were 3.5 years, Arteta's first gig, teething period. You spent a lot more money than we have under Postecoglou. But I don't see, I honestly, mate, like you could say, oh, you had better performances and you were the better team and you scored more goals. But I don't see the similarity. I don't see the differences. Both teams, new playing styles, new players, and all of a sudden the fan base has got behind. The one thing I'll say is, I think player for player, your 11 is better than ours, or based off last year. I think your front three pisses all over us. Martinelli, Saka, and Jesus is miles clear of whatever front three Postecoglou wants to put out. I think defense is more sound. I think you had a more stable unit. But let's say 3.5 years down the road of Postecoglou playing like this. Who knows where we'll be? I just don't like fans coming out and saying, "Oh, Tottenham have been lucky because they played 3 promoted sides." You can only beat what's in front of you. How have Chelsea got on against the promoted sides? How do they get on against Nottingham Forest when they can't beat them at home? How did Man United get on against the promoted side? They scraped a 1-0 win at Turf Moor against Burnley, and we battered them 5-2. So, it's all relevant. You can only play what's in front of you. But as football fans, you collectively, whenever someone's doing something great, we try to nibble at it. Like, oh, Man City are great. Oh, what about the 113 charges? Forget the 113 charges.
That is what we do in England, mate. That is what fans do in England.
Yes, as soon as something does something good, it's like, but Postecoglou's only ever managed in Australia and Japan.
Yeah, I mean, last night we were on a show last night. Yeah, I mean, we were on a show last night talking about Southgate and D. I love D, bless him, but he was like, "Well, if Southgate wins, I ain't giving him credit. It's the players." You know what I mean? You can always look at something pretty and then turn it into something negative. All the time you can do that, right?
Well, if you can't see what Southgate's doing, you can F off down the Coupe de France or whatever it's called in Paris.
I like that. But the thing is, though, and I think what you're arguing, though, therefore, Henry, is 2 different things. I think you're basically saying give Tottenham credit because we're top of the league, which I think you do deserve. But the question is not, Tottenham deserve to be top of the league? It's, do you see the specialness that you saw at Arsenal last season? That's the question. And I'm not sure that people do yet. And I think
I don't see it, no. But the similarities in terms of both teams won majority of their games, play great football, and were the better teams, yes. And also another thing, and I'm not making excuses, but we did just lose the greatest goal scorer we've ever had, and we haven't really brought in a number 9, have we?
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. And to be fair to Tottenham fans, a lot of neutral fans were going, finish club. Conte's walked out. It's all gone wrong. Levy, they want him out. Kane's gone. Finish club. They'll be 12th, 13th. I heard it all, to be fair. And you've proven a lot of people wrong. I think Tottenham have proven a lot of people wrong, and to be fair, and I think that the players that have come in so far, they've proven you don't need Harry Kane. Is it sustainable? I still have question marks. I still don't have Tottenham in a title race. By come March, April, I don't have that. I personally don't think they are.
How many players do you think we need to be in a title race?
Well, if we are in a title race, if we are in a title race, if let's just say we are again, I'm hoping that we will be. How many squad players do you think Tottenham are away from Arsenal, squad-wise?
5.
5 players. There you go then. I wouldn't say you're too far off. Maybe a couple more, but not more than that.
But I'm talking 5 key players. Like you brought in, obviously Saliba has been unbelievable for you guys. But if you're looking at player for player, I think your 11's better. I don't think it's like light years clear. I think the foundations and the players' abilities are quite similar.
Yeah,
and both play similar. Like I don't think there's too much between Maddison and Odegaard. Arsenal fans say Odegaard, we say Maddison's. I don't think there's too much between Udogie and Zinchenko. I think Ben White's better than Porro, and I think that's by a bit of a distance, but because he's been a lot more consistent. Bissouma and Partey, I don't think there's too much there. The goalkeepers, it's early to say about Vicario. Son and Martinelli both have scored a lot of goals recently. Where you blow us out of the water, though, is you've got Saka, Jesus.
Yeah, we're one striker away, one quality striker away from our 11 being our first 11 being competitive in every single game. But it's where the drop-offs are. Like, there's a steeper decline when you've got injuries to anyone in our spine.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And I think that's where we fell short. That's where we fell massively short. Was if we kept that 11, we were good. But the minute we had 2 or 3 of them knock out, the drop-off was scary. And we're still at that stage, in my opinion, as well. So I think Tottenham, 6, 7 players, I think you can have a squad there. But I don't think still think 1 or 2 is too short. For a title, we're talking about competing with Man City here. Do you know what I mean? Go on, Lee.
No, I was just saying that, Tottenham have had Harry Kane for the last 5 or 6 years and not challenged for a title. I don't think it's necessarily like what player it is or whatever. I just think that, maybe 1 or 2 Spurs players, and it could be a difference. You know what I mean? It just depends where. I think if you're saying 5 or 6 players, you might that ain't going to help Spurs out, particularly this year.
No, I'm talking more about squad. Like if you look at your backup,
but if another fight, I'll tell you what. If Spurs bring in 5 players in January, they ain't going to win the league. I think it'll upset the apple cart. Because you've got to look at where these players are playing. I think you've got to be really build it slowly, build it and build on what you've got now. I don't listen. If Spurs are capable of beating anybody in the league at this moment in time, as is Arsenal. So why would you want to go and upset that? I think you've got to be very, very careful of what you're doing. Like Arsenal are in a different place at the moment because they're trying to compete for the league, but also like compete in the Champions League. So you need a bigger squad. Tottenham haven't got that. Tottenham have just got to like concentrate. Well, I think what Tottenham have got to do is aim for the ball. And if you hit the 25, it's still not a bad shout, is it? Then I think that's what we was doing last season, and see how it goes there. Have goals been a problem at Spurs at this moment in time? They're top of the league on goals scored, not on anything else. So I don't see that being a problem, whether Harry Kane was there or not. They've scored enough goals to win the league, to be top of the league at the moment. Sorry. So midfield, as you say, is good enough to compete. As you say, like Basuma, Sarr, Maddison. Would you swap any of them for other players in other clubs? Maybe, maybe not. So, and I think defensively, the goalkeeper's been impressive. You know what I mean? Like
number 1 in save percentage in the league.
So we
have faced a lot of shots though. Did you see that stat?
No, but he's save percentage. He saved. I think it's 88% of the shots that he's faced, which is more than anybody, regardless of how many shots he's faced, or he's just saved more of as a percentage. So.
And the way you play, you're going to concede chances, isn't you? Because you're a lot more open than what you was last season. So that may change as the pressure gets on and whatever. Like at the moment, Spurs are riding the crest of a wave, and if I'm a Spurs fan, or like I was in this position last year, is enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like Dan's a worry. He's going, we ain't got this and we ain't got that. I was going, let's just enjoy where we are this season, and enjoy it. Listen, and injuries will, I still think, like you can say about Arsenal last season, whatever happened there, we'll never know this. But if we win the league, if Saliba stays fit, we might have won the league. I do believe that may be the case, but you've got to have that. You've got to ride your luck as well. At the end of the day, and City are not so good at this moment in time because De Bruyne's not about that. As good as they are, City, they're still missing.
They've got tough games coming up, and all.
They've got tough games coming up, and I tell you what, dare I say it? You know what I mean? Like Haaland's not been the same with him in the team.
Rory Jennings might have been right.
So nah, man, he's still got 8 goals, still top scorer. I know.
We know.
Right, listen, KDB allows him to score more, 100%, but he's still top quality. You watch him score against Brighton, he will get his score.
I'll take him out of my fantasy team.
I still think.
No way, really? That's it.
I still think he's the difference between winning the league or not. It does come down to 1 or 2 players. I think if Arsenal are to win the league this season, I really do believe it will be because of Declan Rice. The signing of Declan Rice.
So Lee, if Tottenham had Harry Kane in this 11 fit and firing, and as that number 9, the poacher role, like he was under Poch, how much stronger would we be this season?
Oh, well, that's a good question, but you might be as strong as you are now, because I think that with Harry Kane firing and all that, Song wouldn't be the player that he is. I think Song takes second fiddle a little bit. Now, where would you play him? Probably on the left, but then who's been playing on the left, been playing really well, and who's been playing on the right. I don't think Song. I think Song probably more influence now down the middle than he is as a wide player. It's an interesting thing. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at that, if Harry Kane was there, especially after what you see at in the week with Harry Kane, you still got that goal scoring.
They'd be better. Let's have it right. They'd be better. 30 goals added to it. I think they comfortably get.
Yeah, he gets 30 goals, but then there's a bit of drop off from everybody else because he's a go-to. I know that sounds silly, and I don't mean. I'm not trying to be funny here and all that. You know what I mean? I
get what you mean, though.
I've been in teams where say your top goal scorer's playing, you just think, oh well, he'll get us out of it, and you just drop off your own game a little bit. You know what I mean? At this moment in time, they've got no Kane, so Son goes into every game now. I've got to perform. I've got to be at my best, because if I'm not, we ain't going to win this game. And you've got Kulusevski doing exactly the same. You've got Richarlison doing it, Maddison doing exactly the same. All these players know if they're not, and defensively, if you're not on Song, you haven't got that goal. Harry will get us out of trouble a little bit. I don't know. It is a funny situation. Tottenham look more of a team. Is that a bad thing?
There's a lot more I think unity and spirit in a squad. Son being captain as well has done. I think I was very questionable about it when he first was captain, but he's actually done the role pretty well. When Kane was captain a lot, he wasn't really speaking on the pitch, rallying the troops up. He kind of led by example. Same as England, really. I don't think he should be the England captain, if I'm being honest. He leads by example, and he's probably...
I've got a little bit of a different thing. I think that's a little bit harsh on Postecoglou, personally. They're more of a team now because Kane's gone. I think if Kane was in...
I just think the spirit, I think there's a more togetherness within, Lee's right to a degree. The amount of players last year that didn't do anything, but yet again, Kane was dragging us through. Now we've got goals from fullbacks, midfielders, and part of that is to the play style, obviously. But I think there's an argument there that Son wouldn't be. Well, he'd be out on the wing, and the last year he was terrible.
Son would drop 100% because we saw last season on the left he was awful, and he had one of the worst seasons I've seen him have. But I do think for me, when Henri left Arsenal, we nearly won the league the year after. If it wasn't for Eduardo breaking his leg, we would have won the league. I never would have thought that, losing Thierry Henry. So I understand that when Harry Kane goes, you then might get some more of a team play. But I actually do think Postecoglou deserves a hell of a lot of credit there, because he lifted that Spurs team where it was let's be real, it was in the pits of the earth, really, wasn't it? It was just everyone was done at Spurs. And he's come in and lifted it straight away. And I think added all of your signings so far have been hits, really, haven't they? There ain't anyone so far you've signed, you go, cool, he looks awful. The goalkeeper, Van der Ven, Doggy. Up top, you've got, obviously, Maddison now, who's creative. Bissouma, you could say he's like a new signing, really. I know it's a stupid term to use, but he is, because he weren't used by Conte, and he's been one of your best players, if not your best player, along with Maddison. So I think there's a lot of credit that Postecoglou deserves. Before we close, I do want to close now. I've got to ask a question from you all really quickly. At the moment, we have no idea who's in title races because it's way too early, right? But if we get to a stage now, just through a prediction and through your opinions, right, because that's what this show's about, we get to, say, towards the end of March, who's going to be in a title race, in your opinion, still with, say, 8 games to go, whatever it be? Are we going to have 1 team, 2 teams, 3 teams? What do you see happening? Because this season could be a bit of a strange one for me. I'll come to you first, Sean. What do you reckon, bruv?
How big of a gap is a title race in your mind?
Well, with 8 games to go, I suppose anything other than more than 7 points, I think, is outside of a title race, because you've got to get City to lose 3 games then, haven't you? In 8 games left. So That's what I would go by. But everyone's got a different opinion of that as well, I suppose. So
I think that Tottenham won't have enough this year. As much as Henry probably wants me to jump on his bandwagon, I don't think we're.
I wasn't going to say anything, mate. I just know that we're winning it. No, I'm joking.
Fair enough. I think this year is going to be interesting because I think that Manchester City are just struggling a little bit more than I thought they would have done at this stage. Things can change, but I think Liverpool and Arsenal and City can be within 8-9 points of each other in March, and I'd say that there's still enough to play for. If there's 3 teams going for it, there's enough to play for an 8-game spread to be considered a title race.
Okay, judges.
City and Arsenal, I think, will be there and thereabouts. I fear for Liverpool. I fear for them. I fear them because I think that if that front three would click, they'd be dangerous, and they've got a good midfield. But I think Liverpool can be got at. But I think they'll be thereabouts again, And I'm going to say it with Spurs now. It depends what happens in the next couple of months. If at Christmas time they're where they are now and in and around it, then So
you're saying there's a chance?
The crystal. No, not a chance of winning.
It's like in Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance?
I think that no one would have said after 8 games that Arsenal come May or March would have been in the title race. So if Spurs continue to keep doing what they're doing, then they'd be definitely in with a chance of challenging. I don't think that they'll win it. I think Manchester City are too strong, if I'll be honest. And don't forget, come January, they're going to have De Bruyne back. So it's going to be a little bit. And when you go, they've got lots of games coming up. They handled them quite well last year. So I think that at the moment we've not seen the beast of Man City yet. We see it last year, Dan. But I wouldn't write Newcastle out of it neither. I've been impressed with Newcastle.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't write them out of it neither.
Interesting. Go on, Henry.
Well, I just want to say, we're only 32 games away from getting a gold Premier League trophy. So, no, all jokes aside, I think Arsenal and City will be the 2. I do think if Liverpool in January bring in an out-and-out DM and not play McAllister there, they'll be dangerous because they're so open on the counter. Like they're playing McAllister, who's a kind of a box-to-box 8. They've shoehorned him in. Endo they've signed, can't get a game for Toffee. And then they've got Szoboszlai, who's a very good number 10. If they went out and brought, I don't know, for argument's sake, Fofana from France or Calvin Phillips, fancy the challenge like Milner did when he joined Liverpool. Someone like that who can actually sit there and be that anchor role, then I'd throw Liverpool in there. But I just don't. I think Liverpool can be got at, and I think it will be Arsenal and City. I still think City will win it just because they've been there too many times. But they haven't got the clutch players that are going to turn up all the time. Like in the big games last year, in all the big semi-finals and finals, and Haaland didn't turn up. Rodri scored the Champions League final winner. Gundogan's having FA Cup final masterclasses. Riyad Mahrez is getting League Cup semi-final hat-tricks. Them clutch players aren't there now, and they've got new players that are new to the system, like Nunes and Kovacic and Jeremy Doku. That by the way, that Cole Palmer, just quickly, like speaking on him, they've let him go. He looked very good player against Burnley, and
agreed.
I think City will bring in a couple of players in January. They have to. They've got to bring in more creativity. Like Bernardo Silva, I think will step up now. I think he'll be the one that will. I think they'll play him in that 10 role to create, because Ireland at the moment had about as much service as Tesco bloody Mobile, mate. He was against you lot. I mean, he was Saliba. Went into the car park, pulled out his keys, wallet, and Ireland sitting in his pocket. He was.
Yeah, honestly. It was mad. It was mad. Do you know what though? Right, you've stole my thunder, because that was exactly what I was going to say in terms of January. I think January is going to be key as to who's in this title race, because if Liverpool go and sign, let's say, a centre half and Paulinho, let's say from Fulham, they've got themselves a title race for me. The squad that's good enough for a title race. I think Arsenal going by Pedro Neto and Ivan Toney, like we're linked with. I think Arsenal are definitely in the title race, and we know Man City are going to be there or thereabouts, even without any additions in January. So I think them three will be in a title race right up the way towards the last few games. I do think Newcastle and Spurs will just miss out in terms of a title race, but I think that they're definitely my favourites for the last two Champions League positions. I think that Newcastle and Spurs will get them. Chelsea, United, Villa, Brighton, West Ham. I just see all them missing out, with most of them with Europe, and let's be honest, some of them just not good enough in my opinion, in terms of the squad depth. So I think that's where we're at personally. Guys, we're going to wrap up there. Legends, all three of you, thank you so much for coming on as always. Sean, how can people follow you, mate?
Spurs Talk Show on YouTube and all the other socials as well. Appreciate having me on. Really enjoyed this Thursday chat. It's nice.
No, always a pleasure, man. Absolutely welcome on any time. Henry, likewise, man. What you got coming up?
Yeah, just at Henry Wright TV on socials, the daily videos, the shameless topics that we're dragging out to 25-minute videos. But yeah, if you want to subscribe, obviously on all socials, it's Henry Wright TV.
Top man. Make sure you go over to both of these guys and support their channels. Make sure you head over to Lee Judges TV as well and do exactly the same thing. And don't forget us, man. Make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you get us towards the next target, which is 13K. So please make sure that you do that as well. We'll see you next time. Hopefully there'll be me and Lee Judges sitting on the top of this podcast the next time that we're on, but we'll see what happens. Let's take it game by game. We'll see you next time, people. Take it easy. We're out of here.